good morning and welcome to Cityline. It is wonderful to be in your home. We are here on the 16th of March and close to St. Patrick's Day, and we have a great hour ahead of us. Later on, we'll be talking with the Children's Museum of Tacoma. They're here to talk about some of their springtime events that they have coming up. And then with us also is Miss Erin Saragiole. She is here to talk about Pinocchio, one of their productions coming up. We don't want to miss that. An old face that we have not seen for quite some time, but is here to talk about where they've been and what they've been up to. We're talking about Mike Lonergan. He is our Pierce County Assessor Treasurer. He'll be here to talk about some of the things that you need to know about in terms of the city of Tacoma and values for your home. And then with me right now is someone who, you got to know something. Every time she walks into our city council meetings, there is a round of applause because we love her so much. I'm talking about Council Member Olgy Diaz. Welcome back to Cityline. I was not here the first time that I missed interviewing you, so it's so wonderful to see you. Let's talk about District 7, which is, first off, congratulations. Mayor Woodards talks about how proud she is to have you on the council. I don't think a lot of people know this, not because I didn't know this, but tell our audience, how many times did you apply or attempt to be in our city council?
This was my fourth go, so.
This was your fourth go around?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What made it say yes this time?
I think it was the important time. Every time before that, it had been either an opening I had applied for, so it made sense for me, but maybe clearly didn't make sense for the city at that time, or a position that I ran for and I wasn't able to get through the incumbency that was already there. But this time, after the pandemic, it just felt like all of our issues are coming to a head at all levels of government, and at municipal is where we are really, I like to say, we punch above our weight a lot at the city, and so I wanted to be a part of that, just trying to help dig in, figure out how we get out of this and how we move our economy and our communities forward. Oh, it's an exciting time.
It is a very exciting time. You have been in this position since 2022. Not a whole lot of time, but enough time to ask the question of what has stood out for you and what are you most proud of?
So I joined the council in August of 2022. So I had a quick on-ramp to both the budget and just generally how municipal government works. I've actually worked at the state and federal levels quite a long time in my career, and so city is all very new to me. So the city budget, we were able to make some incredible investments across the board in bike pedestrian safety, in housing, in homelessness, and all sorts of areas that we really are critical for now. But the thing that is most exciting to me, maybe selfishly, is I passed my first 2 ordinances in my first 3 months. And they were a direct reaction to some things that happened early in the spring with the Dobbs decision at the Supreme Court. Okay. So one was to add a gross misdemeanor for folks who are trying to interfere with any patients trying to get in to seek abortion care or gender affirming care in our city. So we've already got that state level protection. I wanted to make sure no matter what government comes in the future, we at the city, we're not tolerating that here. And we have a lot of community who's just trying to go and get their health care, and I want them to feel safe in our city doing so.
Yes. And then another ordinance you passed.
Yes, the other one adds folks who are able to get pregnant to our anti-discrimination codes. So anywhere where you could be discriminated against, you will no longer be able to be discriminated against for any of your pregnancy outcomes. So whether you have a baby is usually in there if you're a parent, but also if you had a miscarriage, you had an abortion, you had any other kind of outcome in your pregnancy, you will not be able to be discriminated against in our city. That
is, what more do we need to say? That is the essence of what you do, and I'm floored that it took this long to put you in a position that you do so well, and not that leading up to this being a lobbyist and also the vision that you have has helped propel that. Recently, you and your colleagues got together for a council workshop. I got to see a picture on Facebook of you guys kind of all looking and deep looks in your eyes. What were some of the opportunities and challenges that the city came out of that workshop?
I think they structured it so that we had our incredible facilitator, Jacques, who you know at the city. He's a delight. Him and his whole office are just assets, incredible assets to our strategy. But they organized everything into 7 buckets so that we could really look at both, say, housing or safety or health or belief and trust, all of these different buckets where we could look at a programmatic level. What is city staff doing? We had all of the directors there to help us with that work. And then what do we as a vision, what are the policies we want to drive that help drive new programs or new strategies? And so we were able to really suss out and attach ourselves to what is already happening in the city and what do we want to long-term and sort of a parking lot, what do we want to come in and start working on in the future. So it's a really cool opportunity to do some of that long-range planning and short-range planning. But the biggest thing I think is just all of us to be able to be in a room all day together and talk through our vision for the city. It's not a thing that we get to do every week, even though we see each other all day on Tuesdays. It's just not in that structured way an opportunity that we have.
When you talk about belief and trust, what does that mean?
A lot of it has to do often with police accountability, but I think it is broader than that. Sometimes it is also just about believing that the recycling is going to come to get picked up, or believing that if I call the city on 311, as we like to make sure that folks are doing, they're reporting, they're seeing something, they're saying something, their eyes on the ground, that the city's going to follow up with that, whatever department it might be. And building up that muscle within our own departments and ourselves as a council is to be accountable, to be reliable, to be a place and a resource for people, and really have that reputation filter out through the city no matter what the services that they're seeking.
Exactly. So what are current council priorities for you? Because I want to back up for a second, and because you have an at-large position. Would you tell us what an at-large position, first off, does?
I have the honor of serving the entire city.
Yes.
So we got 5 districts. We've got every council member, or every district council member has one part of the city that they get to sort of care deeper about, dig deeper into the policy issues. The 3 of us who are at large, and the mayor, if you include her, 4, are able to sort of see that broader, what patterns are we seeing across districts. That's one of my favorite things is I can go to the South Tacoma Neighborhood Council District one day, or Neighborhood Council meeting one day, Northeast Tacoma the next day. The issues and the concerns that our citizens have are all the same. The solutions might look different in different neighborhoods. And so we can bring those policy decisions and thoughts back and help talk between our colleagues who represent districts.
And when you say that those issues, they are pretty much the same, but they may look different. Give us an example of that.
So I use those 2 as an example because 2 weeks ago I did that. I went to South Tacoma one day and Northeast the next day, and everyone wants roads, right? Everyone wants safety in their streets. What is going on is a little bit different depending on where you're at. So I also joined Councilmember Bushnell for his town hall that he did in South Tacoma, and we heard a lot of thoughts around how we, as a city, help provide more housing and homeless services. And how quickly that happens, how quickly we're able to move folks into housing. And then when the man who directs Aspen Court stood up and spoke, he got a full standing ovation because folks are so passionate about the work that we're doing, or he's doing there in that tiny home village. Yeah, so they're really happy there with that. And then Northeast, they have a parking issue, right? So people are just parking all along the main drags there, and in RVs. So it's not a different necessarily issue that they're having. It's just a different vehicle for it.
Right.
Pun. Apologize for the pun.
Yeah, that's a good pun, though. It absolutely is.
And so the solution's going to be different. So we've been working with Councilmember Rumbaugh on how we get somewhere for folks to be able to park safely and dump their sewage in a safe manner, and be able to take care of themselves as they're lifting themselves up out of their situations.
Yeah. I had someone ask me a question about what if I had a priority, is the priority to solve unhousedness, or is the priority more of racial equity? How do you answer that?
I don't think they're separate. I think folks who are experiencing homelessness can be of any race, and we know nationally and even on the state level, folks who are LGBT are more often unhoused, folks who are of different ethnic groups, right? So often Black folks, Latinos, different communities are the ones who are out there. Veterans are also out there in high numbers. And we have some services set up specifically to target them, but some of them aren't issue or ethnic specific. It's just what are the root causes that got them there? So I think you have to look at the solutions as a layered effect in the same way that the problems are layered. No one person is any one thing. We all check 100 different boxes.
Yes. I love how you said that because it's the truth. We all check boxes in a very different way. And as we stand in the solution in the city and we look, as you've said, across the board, you know, it may look different, the solutions, but we are all in this together, aren't we? And when I think about our city, I think about standing in solutions. I think about someone like yourself who has been in the system for quite some time, but the system of the city is new to you, and how to go about solving those problems that you see, as you know, as Council Member Block and I said, from pardon the phrase, from the dais. There it is. When you've been in this position now for not very long, Olgy, when you look back on this position and you think about your time spent, what will you be most proud of?
I think the doors that I'm able to open for folks, just in access, right? I think probably one of the only council members who put my actual city cell phone number on my website. So it's a call or textable line. So I happen to be the only one who speaks 2 languages, so folks can call or text me in Spanish. I'm working on getting more of our city services translated, particularly on my website, so that I can do more outreach into those communities and those businesses, because we hadn't had that representation before.
No, we haven't.
And so how do we pave the way so that we get more folks in the future who speak other languages? How do we get more folks in the door who represent other communities? I'm not the last community that hasn't been represented here, and I don't want to be the only one to ever do that for Latinos specifically either.
Exactly. Oh, my dear. Such goodness. So much for me to say thank you for. You are just incredible. I want you back on this couch sooner than later.
Absolutely. Happy to come back.
Thank you.
It's a comfy couch.
It is a comfy couch. After a little bit of musical chairs, we will have Mike Lonergan in the house to talk about what he has been up to. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.